What is going on, guys? Viper here and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I have for you something a little bit different. We are going to be ranking the best Premier League players per position on FIFA 23, but we're not only going to be doing it for old gen, we're going to also be doing it for new gen. And we're going to be starting off with new gen and ranking them top to bottom. I've also got a bench full of players as well from the Premier League that I think are the most meta cards in FIFA 23 from the Premier League. For cheap FIFA 23 coins, make sure to check out MMOEXP.com to get fast and reliable coins. And make sure you use code VIPER at checkout, get yourself a 5% discount. So, as you can see, starting us off with, we have Edison. Now, Edison probably isn't the best goalkeeper in terms of shot stopping. In the Premier League, I'd probably give that to Alisson or De Gea. What Edison does have over them goalkeepers is the insane kicking. You know, he's 6'2" with a 3-star weak foot, which is pretty good. But the 93 kicking is absolutely paramount on this game in my personal experience. Now, this card works for old gen and new gen, but the thing that is so good is if you're under a lot of pressure, you can just give it back to Edison and Edison can absolutely lump it up the pitch. What I found on FIFA 23 is if you don't have good kicking on a goalkeeper, it's really hard to get out of the press that opposition is playing. You know, press after possession loss, pressure on heavy touch and constant pressure. Edison is really good in the latter stages of a game when somebody is pressing really hard and you need an outlet. Edison can find that pass every single time. So now we're done with Edison, guys. Let's move on to our right back. Now, this is another one that works on old gen and new gen, but is better on new gen, and that's going to be Kyle Walker. Of course, because of the accelerate types that you have on new gen, it's very easy to kind of differentiate the cards and why they're good. So Kyle Walker's obviously got 91 pace. He's got insane defending and physical for a right back. He hasn't got the best passing, crossing, or dribbling, but he makes up for that with putting that architect on him. He becomes lengthy on new gen, which allows you to have the insane running style that the lengthy players have. To have that on Kyle Walker, who's already got 91 pace, makes him arguably the best right back on the game and the best centre back on the game, because he's so fast already, and then to bring the lengthy onto him, he has his own running type in game as well. He really is levels above, and that's why he's remained so expensive with players like Hakimi have dropped off quite a lot. Kyle Walker is absolutely brilliant. Of course, he is still good on old gen as well. I'd probably say that there are a few better other right backs on old gen than Kyle Walker though. I do think he's probably one of the best centre backs on the game still for both generations of consoles. He's levels above on new gen though, due to the fact you can make him lengthy, and he's absolutely bonkers when you do make him lengthy. So probably the best right back and centre back on the game on new gen in my personal opinion. Alright guys, moving on to our first centre back. Now, this is another one which is really good on both generations of consoles, but once again is better on new gen. That's going to be Virgil Van Dyke. Of course, he's got 81 pace by default, which is really good, but he's already lengthy. You know, you put a shadow on him, absolutely insane centre back on new gen. Absolutely insane. Other than Kyle Walker, probably the best centre back on the game on new gen, maybe with Lucio as well. Lucio is really good as well, but Virgil van Dijk is really good on this game. I can't understand why he's actually quite cheap at 180k when he is so good. Of course, he's really strong already. He's got insane defensive stats. He's got okay ball playing abilities as well, which is quite important for centre backs on FIFA 23. And, you know, making him lengthy straight off the bat with a shadow applied, he is so quick and so broken. Best centre-back or best version of Virgil van Dijk we've ever had. Better than his team of the year, better than his team of the seasons. This card is absolutely unreal on new gen. Also quite good on old, but because of his pace split, he's not as good as for a Kimpembe, for example, or Koulibaly, who's got a bit better of a pace split. Kyle Walker again. These kind of players are definitely better on new gen due to the fact they have the lengthy style, and Virgil is the best centre-back on the game other than Kyle Walker in my personal experience due to the lengthy style he has on new gen. Moving on to our left centre-back now, we have a very controversial one here, and I would argue that this guy's very close to Virgil van Dyke. That's going to be Reuben Diaz. Once again, lengthy. This one only works on new gen. Make sure you take that into account. This card is really good on new gen because, again, he's lengthy. You put a shadow on him, you get him up to 70, 71 pace, I believe, and he becomes insane. You know, he's already really strong, really aggressive. He's good in the air because he's high and tall, at 6'2", medium high work rate with a 4-star weak foot, okay ball playing abilities, really good reactions, quite long composure, but still it doesn't really matter too much. Reuben Diaz runs so quickly because he's lengthy. Once again, makes him unbelievable in game. This card is so cheap to pick up as well. You know, this is a must pick up in your team if you're on new gen and trying to build a full Premier League team. He's actually usable this year which is really awesome to see. Now moving on to our left back, there's not a lot of options in the Premier League for left backs, and I think João Cancelo is probably the best. Of course, he can play right back as well. Cancelo's really good on old gen and new gen because he's got great passing, great dribbling, great pace, decent defensively. I would actually probably say this card's better on old gen, but he is still really good on new gen. It's because of his great passing and crossing, makes him really good, but he's just a little bit slow for this game on both versions. He is still really good though. He's better as a midfielder in my personal opinion, but your left back options are very limited. I don't think there's anybody over 85 pace that's actually high rated and decent defensively, dribbling wise. We've got Malacia, who's another option, but he's really, really weak and really small. His passing is abysmal as well. So Cancelo is probably the creme de la creme in Premier League for left backs. And, you know, he's right-footed playing on the left-hand side, which is quite cool, actually, and allows you to do quite a lot. You know, inverted fullbacks, if you want to try that out, you can do that with Cancelo, and he is the best for old and new gen, in my personal opinion. All right, guys, so as we move on to the midfield, we have Mohamed Salah coming in at the right mid spot. Now, I think this is probably the best right mid / right winger, arguably, in the Premier League, full stop. You know, he's got a 3-star weak foot, he's got the 4-star skills, which is good. 90 for both pace and dribbling, 89 shooting, 82 passing, which is really good for a winger, and 75 physical, so he's got a bit of strength about him too. This card, what it offers in comparison to like an Antony is, you know, Antony has the 5-star skills where Salah has the finesse shot and the insane shooting. In my opinion, makes him a little bit better on old gen and new gen. Now, this card is going to be better for you on old gen than it will new, just because of how poor dribbling is currently on new gen. So that being said, he is still the best on new gen as well though, but you have to take into consideration that he's not going to feel like that 90 pace. He won't feel as quick as that. But when you do get him in front of goal, his shooting's insane. If you want to do a Trivela shot with him, if you want to do a power shot, a finesse shot, this guy has got it all. That is why he's going in as my favourite right wing / right mid in FIFA 23 for the Premier League. Now moving on to our two actual centre midfielders. First of all, we have Lucas Paqueta, road to the knockouts, obviously for the Conference League from West Ham. This card's really good. You know, he's got the 4-star weak foot and the 5-star skills, high work rates, left-footed. I've used this card an awful lot. I know it only says 7 games, but I played a lot with him on my road to glory and a few other accounts that I have played on. I really like this card. You know, he's a bit slow, but he makes up for that with insane dribbling, insane passing, and really good shooting. And of course, the 5-star skills. This is one on new gen that you can actually make lengthy as well with an architect, which is really good for the passing, of course, as well. His passing is absolutely juiced with an architect applied. But I've also used him a lot on old gen as well, and I find him to be really good because of how good his dribbling is. He is really well versed on old gen. Really like this card. You know, as a box to box, he is absolutely brilliant. Go and pick this one up for old and new gen, in my personal opinion. Now we're probably moving on to the best box to box on FIFA 23, and that's going to be Kevin De Bruyne. Now, passing is a really important point of FIFA 23. If you don't have good passing, you're not going to be able to get through with them incisive through balls and over the tops and stuff like that. De Bruyne is the best passer on FIFA 23. He's one of the best shooters on FIFA 23. His shots from range are insane. His Trivelas are insane. If you get into the box as well, he's really well versed finishing wise, to where this card becomes an absolute beast. Good defensively as well for the kind of player he is. You know, he's got okay defensive awareness, interceptions and stand tackle. So you can use him as a box to box and even like a secondary CDM if you wanted to. And he is as good on both generations of consoles. Love him on old, love him on new, use him on both versions. And I have to say he is the best midfielder on FIFA 23. Absolutely love him, obviously apart from icons, but absolutely love Kevin De Bruyne on this game. Unreal card. Go and get him if you have the coins. He's quite cheap right now as well, and he can dictate the game for you literally by himself. An absolute wonder of both feet as well. 5-star weak foot, of course, and the 4-star skills. Unbelievable card. Now, as we move on to our left mid, we have Marcus Rashford, and the great thing about this one is you can play left mid, left wing, and striker, so lots of opportunities to use this one. This is one that's also better on old gen. 5-star skills, high-low work rate, 6-1. He's basically the B-Tech Ronaldo, but can't be made lengthy. You want him on controlled if you're on new gen. You don't want him on explosive. Explosive ruins all kinds of cards on this game. So make sure you're using him on controlled. We've been playing a lot on old gen recently, and Rashford is considerably better on old gen than new gen. So, you know, he's still one of the best left mids in the Premier League, in my personal opinion. I actually really like Harry Kewell as well. I haven't put any heroes in here. At least I don't think I have. But obviously, Yaya Toure would be in here as a midfielder. He's just ridiculously expensive, and I didn't want to make it all about the price of the players. But Yaya would be in here as one of the best midfielders on the game, on new gen. But Going back to Rashford, yeah, you'll get a lot more out of him on old gen, because old gen's a lot more about pace and dribbling, where I would say new gen is just more about physical and just power. Rashford has a lot of power, but he doesn't feel very fast, but with control, he's okay on new gen. And probably the best left mid and striker, one of the best strikers in the Premier League, in my personal opinion. I know I've said personal opinion a lot, but it is all down to opinion, of course. I've tried to make it so the players aren't too expensive, but of course there are going to be a few expensive players in here. Now, as we move on to the strikers, you can probably guess who they are. First of all, we have Cristiano Ronaldo. Once again, really good on both generations of consoles, but he is a level above on new gen. You put an architect on him, he becomes lengthy. His shooting is arguably the best on the game. 5-star skills, high-low work rates, 4-star weak foot, 6'2". And one thing about this card that is making him a lot better than a lot of the other cards I've used, including Haaland, is really viable on both versions of the game, is he's insane in the air. Crossing is really good on this game. If you perform it correctly, you can do some insane crosses, and Ronaldo latches onto every single one of them. A lot of players using the likes of Koundé, Alaba, Militao, he jumps over all of them. He's really good in the air. I've scored probably like 20 to 30 headed goals with Ronaldo already this year. I don't have him currently because the market crashed. I wanted to sell my team, so I got a bit of my coins back. But Ronaldo is probably the best striker on the game that's not an icon or a hero. Really, really like Ronaldo. Unbelievable card. Moving on to our other striker. Now, this one is a lot better on new gen than old gen. I don't actually like him on old gen at all. On new gen, though, Haaland probably is the best striker overall. Haaland is so fast, so strong, such good shooting. You cannot go wrong with this man. Now, of course, he's 3-star. His passing is abysmal, so you have to take that into account. He's very much an in-behind striker. No point playing it to his feet. He can't play over the tops. He can't do anything like that. But in terms of just running towards goal and then absolutely slamming the ball into the back of the net, which is exactly what he does in real life, to be fair, Haaland is the best on the game for that. Nobody better. If you green time your shots with him, they're always going to go in. He's 6'5", so powerful, so fast. His agility and balance isn't actually that bad for a 6'5" man. Not that it really matters on new gen. His dribbling is really poor though in terms of old gen, and I really didn't like him when I used him over on PS4. But on PS5, there's a complete difference in the cards. Obviously lengthy as well. If you are going to play with him on old gen, you need to put an engine or something that really boosts up his dribbling, and he makes him an alright card. But overall, this card is the best striker on the game on new gen. So don't really use this one on old gen, but if you do have the PS5, this is your card 100%. Alright guys, so to the bench we go, and first of all we are starting with Raheem Sterling. Not a very good card on new gen, but really good on old gen. Really fast, really explosive. Explosive players are, or what you consider explosive on FIFA 23 on the PS5 version of the game, are the cards you want to be using on old gen. So Raheem Sterling, with that insane agility and balance, okay shooting, okay passing, really is an absolute beast on old gen. Avoid him completely on new gen because the explosive kind of players just aren't very good. But in terms of an old gen player that's really explosive and really fast, good sprint boost, this is your man on old gen. Really good card. Moving over to our next player, we have Diogo Jota. Now this one's really good on both versions of the game. 5-star weak foot, 4-star skills, good pace, good dribbling, good shooting, good physicals actually as well on him. He's quite good in the air, good passing for a striker, and I really like him. His finishing's really good. He's quite a versatile player as well. You know, he can play left wing as well. This card is really fun to play with. He's okay defensively as well. If he gets a few informs, his defending will be quite good. So if you want to play him in that 5-1-2-2 as a centre mid, you can probably get away with that now already. But really like this card as a controlled player. Controlled players are really good on new gen. You know, they're better than explosive, as I've already mentioned, and Jota is really good for that. Next up, we have another old gen player over new gen. Now, he's okay on new gen. I've conceded a few goals to him, but I'm not the biggest fan in terms of him on PS5, but that's going to be Phil Foden. Insane dribbling on this card, good passing. Obviously, the 3-star weak foot's a little bit of a letdown. His shooting's quite good as well. I really like this card on old gen. You know, he's quite weak, and his dribbling is very irrelevant on PS5. So this one, once again, is only for old gen. If you do want to use him though, he's a really good middle cam. I really like this card on old gen. Now we've got one that's actually quite good on both versions of the game, and that's going to be Luis Diaz. 4-star, really fast. Good shooting on him as well. His passing's okay, crossing not the best. He's more of a striker. You should use him as a striker. He's basically Salah, but with a 4-star weak foot, and obviously less dribbling and shooting. But Diaz is really good. I've really enjoyed using him. He's got a good power shot on him. He's got good finesse shots as well. Trivela's shots are really good with Diaz because he's got decent long shots, good shot power. Diaz is one of them ones that you can definitely use on both, and he's one of my favourites on new gen for like a fast player, you know. But yeah, once again, another player that you'll get more out of on old gen, but can definitely use him on both versions of the game. Next up is going to be Raphael Varana. Now this is of course a centre-back, a lengthy centre-back. Now this one's obviously really good on both generations of consoles. Be hard-pressed to find many centre-backs faster than Raphael Varan. Now he's better on new gen because of lengthy. I feel like I'm talking so much about new gen and old gen, but it's really important to get this across to you guys. Varane's not the best ball player. He's got bad agility and balance. His dribbling isn't the best. His composure and reactions are quite good. But you get a 6'3" frame here with medium high work rates, a 4-star weak foot as well, which is unbelievably valuable on this game in my personal experience. And Varane is just a bit of a goat on FIFA every single year. This one is no different. You can use him on both versions and you will get a good output from Raphael Varane. Next up is going to be a bit of a different one. Now this is a controlled player and that's going to be Aubameyang. I really like him on this game. You know, he's 6'2", he's okay in the air. He's basically a B-Tech Ronaldo but a little bit faster. I really enjoyed using him. I think he's good because he's got decent strength. I think his passing's okay. His finishing is really good though, and that's where he is brilliant. Aubameyang is probably better on new gen than old gen just because he's got that bit of physical presence. His dribbling isn't the best and it's not what you want to use on new gen. But in terms of old gen, you've probably got a few better players out there, but he is still really quick and you can use that on old gen. But a good finisher and somebody that's quite cheap to pick up and a pretty damn decent player in my opinion. Moving over to the next player now, we have one that's actually really good on both versions of the game. Hard to get on free chemistry, but it's Wilfred Zaha. 5-star skills on a 3-star weak foot. Got good physicals, got really good dribbling. His passing is quite shoddy, but his shooting's quite good. So this one's more of a striker. He's hard to get on full chemistry, as I mentioned, because you can't really use any Crystal Palace players. You have to have like Yaya Toure in your team to get this guy on full chemistry. But he is like really good on 1 or 2 chemistry as well. You know, he needs a bit of a boost to his shooting and passing. I wouldn't touch his dribbling. You know, he's probably actually better on new gen. Zaha is, and he's supposed to be getting a rule breakers tomorrow. So fingers crossed they do sort him out then. But once again, a really good player that you can play on a lot of different chemistries, and he's still really good. Left mid, centre forward, options you can play him in there. He's got a 3-star weak foot, which is a little bit poor, but he is still a really good card, and I really like Zaha on this game. Moving on to another player that I think is better on old gen, but is actually still quite good on new, and that is going to be Anthony. Now Anthony's, of course, just recently transferred to United, is playing really well in real life. This is one to watch version that I've got here. And Anthony is really, really good because his skill moves are really clean. Now, he is left-footed as well, which means his elasticos and reverse elasticos are inverted, which is quite interesting to play with, and it throws a lot of people off. So if you're going to do an elastico, you're going to get a reverse out of him, and not a lot of people know how to predict that. I found Anthony's Trivela's to be really good as well, and I really like him in the cam role in a full 1-2-1-2 narrow. I don't know why, because his passing really isn't that good, but I really like this one as well. You know, 0-1 dribbling with him is really good, and he's a really clean card. Really, really fast as well. You can make him, I believe you can make him controlled, maybe not with that high agility, but you want him on controlled if possible if you're playing with him on new gen, but a card that is really viable on both versions of the game in my opinion. Okay guys, moving on to the next player, we have Zakaria. Now this one's really good on both versions of the game. Zakaria's always been good on FIFA, and this time it is no different as well. 82 pace with 85 physical and 80 defending. What I really like about this card is you can play him in 2 positions. You can play him as a centre-back if you'd like to, or you can play him as a CDM. Now, if you want to play him as a CDM, I'd highly recommend you use him on new gen as a CDM. You know, with that lengthy style, he's really good there. As a centre-back, he's really good on both versions of the game. So, lengthy on new gen, but really strong physically and really good passing-wise for a centre-back on old gen. I do prefer him on old gen as a centre-back, and definitely as a CDM on new gen, but nonetheless a really good player. Now moving on to one of our last players in the team, we have Alan St. Maximin. Obviously the 5-star skills, high low work rates, 4-star weak foot, 5'8", and a lot better on old gen than he is on new, but still quite good on new as well. There are a few players here that are good on new because they have good strength, and St. Maximin is one of them players. He's got great agility and balance, which you can't really feel too much on new gen, but he feels really, really fast because of that high agility and balance, but more so on old gen. His sprint boost is insane. His shooting's actually quite good, even though it only says 72. Really like this one. He's quite cheap right now as well, and really good for hybrids as well, coming from France. Really like St. Maximin on this game. probably going to go out of the power curve quite quickly, but for right now, Saint-Maximin is an absolute beast on this game. Alright guys, and then moving on to the two last players of the team, we have two new gen beasts. Now first of all, we have Casimira, of course, lengthy, so he runs really fast, regardless of his pace. His passing is a little bit dodgy, even on new gen, but still an absolute beast. If you want to play him in centre back, you can. He's really strong and really aggressive and great defensively, and he's not the slowest, but you have to be careful with his passing because his passing isn't really the best. His weak foot is poor as well. But in terms of just an outright CDM that's there to break up the play, Casemiro is really, really, really good. And he's quite cheap as well. Make sure you pick this one up if you're looking for somebody to just break up the play on PS5 and just pass the ball very simply, because you can't do too much in terms of passing outside of that. Put a catalyst on him, put an architect on him, just boost his passing in ever which way you can. His pace doesn't really matter at all. The reason I'm saying that is because the next player in the team is one of my favourites on old gen in terms of a CDM, and that's going to be Rodri. I think this card is brilliant. So, of course, he's only got 58 pace, but he is lengthy with an architect applied, and I think also a shadow, which I don't understand how that's the case. But 4-star weak foot on him with 3-star skills, medium high, 6'3", insanely, insanely good card. Now, you want to boost his passing as well, where you can, maybe with a catalyst, and just boost up that vision, short pass and long pass where you can, because sometimes his over-the-tops are a little bit dodgy, but he is so good at breaking up the play, coming out with the ball. He's basically Busquets in real life, Rodri is on this game. Really enjoyed him. Good strength and aggression, great stamina, really good defensively, and that 4-star weak foot in that CDM role is really valuable in my opinion. And this guy is an absolute unit on PS5. I promise you, go and try him out, and I promise you, you'll be really surprised by how good he is. As I said, really good at breaking up the play, really good at finding the over-the-top balls to one of your fullbacks or one of your wide players. He's really good at that, and he's an absolute beast on this game. One of my favourite CDMs on the game on PS5 for sure. So guys, that is the team for what I think is the most meta from the Premier League on old gen and new gen on FIFA 23. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think I missed a few players out, but that is my personal opinion from over probably like 200, 250 games and a lot of division rivals. I'm currently on Division 1 on 3 accounts right now, so I'm doing really well, learning the game really well as well. So make sure you guys do let me know, but if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss a video. But guys, that's going to be it from me for now, so take care.